Now, you might have noticed more talk about the benefits of working longer, and that is not an accident. That's the state pension psychological nudge unit in full effect. Now, at some point soon, we're all going to be told that working beyond state pension age isn't just about saving the government money. No. It's going to be about you staying sharp, about you staying connected and being useful. But for every extra year of work, that's another year of tax and national insurance going into the government coffers. And it's also going to be another year without them having to pay you your state pension. Now, the state pension already costs about £146 billion a year. So that message isn't by accident. This is a classic behavioural nudge unit approach by slowly training us to see that working longer, not as a necessity, but as a right thing to do, not only for us, but also for the country. It's being dressed up as some sort of economic patriotism where we all need to join in and do our bit. But it does feel a bit like a psyop in plain sight. Now, they want to change the language, they want to change the incentives, and they want to change how a new retirement should look like and how it should feel. And eventually, ever so slowly, people are going to stop asking why the state pension doesn't keep rising. So in this week's video, I'm going to be looking at the proposed changes to the state pension, the government's strategy to redefine what your retirement might look like. Now, if you're new to this channel, a very warm welcome indeed. Hi, my name's Simon, and I'm a chartered financial planner. And for decades, I've been helping hundreds of clients just like yourself prepare ahead with confidence by keeping a lot more of what you earned. For about 60 years, the UK state pension age for women and for men just didn't change. But since 2010, we've been in an era of a rising state pension age, which is increasing from April this year to age 67 for both men and for women. And this is going to be completed by April 2028. So for most of the post-war period, retirement in Britain followed a very straightforward and a pretty simple idea. You worked, you paid into the system, and at a fixed age, the state pension would kick in. Now, it wasn't glamorous, it certainly wasn't generous, but it was predictable. Now, that deal is quietly being rewritten, not through dramatic announcements or an emergency budget, but it's through softer language with reassuring messages and a steady drip feed of an encouragement for all of us to work that little bit longer. Now, the message isn't going to be, you must work longer. It's going to be a lot more subtle than that. It's more like, you're going to want to work longer. And once you start noticing it, it's absolutely everywhere. Now, have a look at this video from the DWP, hosted by the Right Honourable Pat McFadden. If you don't know who he is, he's the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, and he's telling us about the benefits of working for longer.
We know that work is good for us, and the report by Sir Charlie Mayfield on Keep Britain Working aims to keep more people in work for longer.
And here's his summary, saying that working longer is not only better for you, but for the country as well.
That's why we've partnered with great employers like BA and many others around the country to see what we can do to keep people in work for longer. It's better for them, it's better for their incomes, and it's better for the country too.
Now, a lot of this subliminal messaging is focused on doing your bit for the country as some sort of twisted economic patriotism. So what about you? Would you work a few extra years and pay more tax and more national insurance for the good of the country? Let me know in the comments below. If you're finding value in this video, please going to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you can also leave a comment as well, that's going to allow me to make more accurate content for you in the future. Now, as with most nudge units, they don't happen in isolation. This is Dr. Oz in the States saying the quiet part out loud, that getting people to work longer and beyond their state pension age is going to add trillions to the economy.
If we're able to get the average American, who today retires on average at age 61, get them just to work 1 year longer, because they feel so vital, so strong, so bullish about their future, because they're feeding their bodies nutrients that are essential to their high-functioning productivity, we will increase the overall GDP of our nation by trillions of dollars.
Now, the state pension in the UK already costs us £146 billion a year. And that is going to be rising with the triple lock, of course, And that in turn is costing £2 billion more than was projected. Now, the cost of providing the state pension is roughly 5% of our GDP. And according to official projections, that figure is likely to rise to around 9% of GDP in the next 20 to 25 years. At the same time, and thanks to advances in medicine, the population is living on balance a little bit longer as well. Now we're moving from roughly 3 workers per pensioner towards something closer to 2 workers per pensioner in the next 20 to 25 years. And the state pension is funded on a pay-as-you-go basis. And that means that today's workers are paying for today's pensioners. There's no state pension fund with your name on it. So when that worker to pensioner ratio is going to shift, that financial pressure is going to build, and very quickly. So when that happens, governments have only got a few real options. They can raise the taxes, they can borrow yet more money, or they can cut our benefits. Or they can delay access to the state pension. And politically, delaying access to the state pension is by far the easiest if, and that's a very big if, people can be persuaded that it's reasonable and, as usual, it's the right thing to do. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the psychological nudging will come in. Sorry to interrupt the video. Over the last year or so, many of you have reached out asking if we can help with solving some specific problems, particularly around your retirement plans. And I've spoken to a lot of you personally on Teams. The great news is that we can now scale this properly and efficiently, but we're going to need to cap this at just 90 new clients throughout 2026. So please follow the link on the channel and we're going to be in touch with you very quickly. If you're not ready to take that step just yet, there's no problem at all. You can register an interest and join our newsletter. Now, when the modern state pension system was introduced in 1948, it was set at 65 for men and 60 for women, and for decades that barely moved at all. Then from 1990 onwards, everything changed. Women's pension age was equalised to age 65. Both sexes then moved to a retirement age of 66. Now, a state pension rise to age 67 is almost underway, and age 68 is soon going to be upon us. And all future state pension reviews are going to be increasingly focused on accelerating these increases. So what's happened recently isn't just the pace, it's also the tone of this subliminal messaging. Now, rising state pension ages are no longer going to be framed as an unfortunate necessity. They're going to be presented and framed as a positive evolution, a modernization, even a lifestyle upgrade. And that is deliberate. Now, by keeping Britain working on the surface, that sounds reasonable. We're told that there's labour shortages, that we've got a productivity problem, we've got an ageing problem, and we've got economic growth that's set at anemic levels. So the proposed solution from the government is to keep older workers economically active for longer. They want to retrain them, to make the work more flexible, to remove age barriers, and of course, to celebrate their work experience. But pay attention to what is not being said out loud. Every extra year that someone's working is another year that they're going to have to pay tax and national insurance. And it's another year that the government doesn't have to pay them their state pension. Now, of course, you'll receive an extra uplift in your state pension of 5.8% for every year that you delay taking your state pension. The problem with that, of course, is that it will take you about 17 years to make up for the missed income that you didn't take in that first year. Now, you're often going to hear some version of what's been called jam tomorrow. And the argument goes something like this. If you work longer, you'll save more, you'll have more choices, more flexibility, and a better retirement later on. Well, that sort of reward is always going to be deferred. The benefit is always just over the horizon. Now, what's striking isn't that that argument actually exists. It's how consistently it's going to be repeated across government departments, insurers, employers, and think tanks, almost using identical language. Now, that repetition matters because that's how a new normal or a new expectation is going to be created. Now, Sir Steve Webb was the pensions minister from 2010 to 2015, and he's suggesting two very sensible but very fair proposals. He's suggesting setting a state pension age that people can expect to receive a state pension for 20 years. He's also thinking about introducing a 5-year guarantee period as well. So that means that the state pension is going to continue to be paid even if you die shortly after retiring. So what do you think of those proposals? Would they work? Let me know in the comments below. Now, here's what he actually said. I'm going to put this on screen. Now, the case for increasing state pension ages is strong, but it's always been hard to do so in a way that's fair to people in more deprived areas who can't expect to draw a pension for as long. Now, our proposal for a guaranteed minimum payout period of 5 years represents something for something reform. Now, those who've paid into the system all of their lives will be guaranteed that they or their heirs would get a minimum payout once they start drawing their pension. Now, this would be a concrete way of addressing the concerns over unfairness each time that the state pension age is increased. So is this a psyop? Well, not in the cartoon sense, because there's no secret room and there's no single mastermind pulling all the strings that I can see at least. But there is consistent messaging. There's psychological nudging our behavior to try and sell retirement that is more aligned with the government financial targets than for our benefit. So believe me, we all need to stay on very high alert. Now, I've included 2 more videos in this series, one about what happens to the state pension on death, whether it goes to the state or to your spouse, and what happens if reform means that we've all got to then suffer a means-tested state pension. So thank you so much for watching to the very, very end and for your time and for your patience as always. I'm going to see you all again next time.